What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to the CheezeTalk podcast. Today I'm joined with Ben, aka Mafia Members Pod on Twitter. Today we'll be talking football, sports, and maybe get some life questions snuck in here a little bit. I want to give a shout out to the Open Network for giving me the chance to podcast under their umbrella, the Open Network. They are 45 followers away on Twitter from giving away a Jair Alexander autographed 8x10 photo. Ben, what's up?
Hey, Brian, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Ben. I do my show's called the Mafia Members Podcast. Proud member of the Bills Mafia. I'm from Ottawa, up in Ontario, Canada. And yeah, I do. I try and keep my shows are roughly 30 minutes. I try and keep them to half an hour, but sometimes I can get talking a little bit too much. But I do a show once a week. Every Sunday night. Usually they'll come out on Sunday night, so it's there for you first thing on your ride into work on Monday morning. I try and talk about NFL, but it's pretty much just Bills talk for half an hour.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I will cover if there is some other breaking news or big stories. I'll talk about that, but it's mainly just to focus on the Buffalo Bills.
Any news about the Bills that you want to tell us about? Anything going on, or?
No, we're happy that it's pretty quiet in Bills land. Usually this time of year we're talking about if Stephon Diggs wants to still be on the team or not. So we're just enjoying a mini camp that everybody showed up. There was no Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca trips for anybody on our team. So we're happy to just kind of stay under the radar for now and wait till the season gets going.
Yeah, we didn't have that this year either. We didn't have to worry about it. So that was kind of nice. Majority of our players showed up for the OTAs. A lot of the veterans came in for the, to be there, make a presence for the young guys. And we got rid of Joe Barry, and Jair Alexander actually showed up for the OTAs, and so it's
a good feeling. We had one of our corners didn't show up for the OTAs, but it was an excused absence. I think there were some personal matters that he had to take care of, so it was
sure.
It was okay. It wasn't newsworthy, so we're
right.
But he wasn't sending out cryptic tweets on if he's going to go join the Dallas Cowboys or not.
Yeah, or he's going to take he's going to do a dark
retreat for 3 days. On a retreat, yeah.
What are your thoughts? Well, how long have you been a Bills fan for? Your whole life?
Yeah, I'm 35, and I got into being a Bills fan when I was probably like 8, 9, 10 years old, and some family friends of my parents were asked if we wanted to go down to Buffalo for the weekend to go watch a game, and the atmosphere in there, the party out in the parking lot, the tailgating, the whole atmosphere. At 10 years old, I was walking around like, holy cow, like where else would you rather be than, I come to find out that there's not much going on in Orchard Park except for Buffalo Bills. But in that one weekend trip, I was like, okay, I was getting into football. I was playing football, and I was like, I'm going to start cheering for these guys. They were good back then, and so it was fun.
So 92. So you were around. You were probably still a little bit young for Scott Norwood.
Yeah, I was like, I missed the whole 4 Super Bowls in a row. Like I was alive for them, but I didn't. Thankfully, I didn't. Like I don't remember them. But I do remember the Music City Miracle, and that one is one that haunts me. So it doesn't matter what generation you're from. If you're a Bills fan, there's a little bit of misery involved with being a fan of the team.
Sure. That can go for the Packers too. It can go for any team. What are your thoughts on the Bills as far as last season? How do you think they did, and how do you think they're going to be this year?
Last season was a disappointment. I mean, where I feel like we're at the stage now where it's okay for us to, accept the expectations of making it at least to the conference championship game. The first like 2 or 3 seasons that we were in the playoffs, we were just happy to be there. Like, but that wears off quick, I feel like, as a fan. So we're definitely looking at conference championship games as kind of like the bare minimum of what you would accept as a successful season. So that was a bit of a disappointment last year. The offseason, I think we're happy. As much as it hurts our receiving core, I think we're happy to get rid of both Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis dropping catches was the bane of my existence last season, and Stephon Diggs with all the outside noise was a little bit much. So I think this year it's more of like if we don't do as well, like we still have to win the division and win a playoff game. I think that's what we're expected to do, and that's what we should do. But I think overall it's more of a breath of fresh air kind of season, and just kind of getting everybody back to enjoying playing football and having fun with it at the same time. Josh Allen he's a very big character, and you always see him running around joking and smiling, and that kind of went away last year a little bit. And so we're looking to kind of get some freshness back into the team.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you kind of see that, you kind of look at last year and look at the off season this year, and we were kind of in the same boat as far as even though Aaron Rodgers did a lot for us, I think trading him took a huge weight off of our shoulders. Yeah. And we were able to start fresh, knowing that the front office had faith in our quarterback. And we've seen for the last 30 years how it works when you come in behind a star like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. You're bound to, if you're behind it for 3 or 4 years, you're going to learn and you're going to be a decent when you step on the field for your first time starting the game. And I think the Packers front office saw that. They knew it the whole time, and they had to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, ultimately it worked out in our advantage, I think.
Yeah, I would say so too. I think Love I think it was kind of like the second half of the season that's kind of given the promise for the season coming up, right? Especially that playoff performance against Dallas, that was that gives you a little bit of confidence going into the season for sure.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on the Bills draft, and who is your favorite pick?
I think the Bills draft was good. I think they got some players. They filled some positions of need with their draft. And I think the player I'm most excited to see is Cole Bishop. They drafted him in the second round, the safety. From what I've heard, he sounds like a day one starter. That's definitely what we're hoping for. I think the defensive backs in general are kind of what we need the most amount of help in as a team, where we're kind of deficient the most. So I'm really excited to see how he pans out. And, if he is as good as the hype that's around him is, then I think that he's definitely the player that I'm kind of keeping my eye on the most.
Yeah, for me, I think the Packers drafted a pretty solid class. When you pair Javon Bullard next to Xavier McKinney at safety, that's going to be a good combination. You got Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, I like how he drafted. I mean, I just can't wait for the season to start,
Yeah, exactly. And Buffalo just had, they had Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. That duo was like the backbone of our defense for so long. So now we're kind of in scramble mode of trying to figure out, first of all, if Micah is even retiring or not, or what his plan is. So just getting any kind of help we can in the defensive backfield, I think is going to be huge.
Right. How much, I mean, I know you kind of hit on this earlier. How much does losing Diggs affect the team?
The way I said it and the way I talked about it on my show was, we don't have the top end talent that we have anymore, obviously, and that obviously hurts us. It hurts Josh Allen when he's in scramble mode, that safety release valve that Stephon Diggs has been for him. Anytime Allen scrambles, you see him just looking for wherever Stephon Diggs is, and that's who he throws the ball to. But I think overall our wide receiver room got a little bit better, because it's going to be a more spread out style offense. I think we're now forcing defenses to cover, 4, 5, 6 players at a time versus just focusing on Stephon Diggs. And, kind of now we have Kincaid at tight end, Cook coming out of the backfield. We still have Dawson Knox, and if Keon Coleman turns out to be good, then we have like a whole bunch of these Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. Like we got a whole bunch of guys that can kind of spread the field with, and it's going to be a slice and dice, death by 1,000 cuts kind of style thing. So I think overall our wide receiver room got better. We just don't have the top end talent that we used to have.
Right. It's kind of funny how like the Bills and the Packers are kind of mirroring each other. Granted, you guys didn't go through the quarterback change, but we lost our quarterback, or we traded him. Before that, we were without we traded Devontae Adams, and then we lost Allen Lazard and Cobb and Robert Tonyan. I mean, all the people that Rodgers is going to, Mercedes Lewis. So you have teams come up against us. Like, who is Love going to go to? I mean, you saw how he passed the ball around last year. Musgrave, Kraft, Dobbs, Christian Watson when he's healthy. Then you got Jaden Reed. I mean, it's just, everyone was calling it a rebuild year. And I mean, for a rebuild, like I'll take that. If that's a rebuild year, I'll take it,
Yeah, 100%. I'd love that. Bill spent 30 years rebuilding and never saw that success.
But it's just crazy to see like what people on the outside looking in think versus what the people on the inside looking out put on the field,
Yeah.
And I think
it makes me feel like I'm like delusional or like have like too much faith in my team, but I'm like, we should still be good. It sounds like you sound on social media, you sound crazy saying that the Bills should still win 12, 13 games. Everyone's like, they're a 9-win team. I'm like, we're still going to be good. Like, we still have a good defense. We still have Josh Allen. Like, we're still fine. It's just going to look different. That's all that it is.
The thing is, too, with all these young receivers, they don't know their ceiling yet. That's the thing. They don't know how good they can be.
Mm-hmm.
And us either. Like we've seen Christian Watson not 100% for most of his career so far in Green Bay, but they went to the EW Madison with a hamstring specialist and got things figured out. And hopefully he can be if he's 100% healthy, I definitely put him as our first wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because he can blow the top off any defense with his speed.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to double him. Then you're going to have Musgrave or Kraft. You're going to have Jaden Reed wide open. Romeo. I mean, it's just crazy. You don't have a quarterback with, Lazard or Adams, and where the ball is going to go.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And like as much as, Allen needed Diggs in order to, to kind of see his potential and his ceiling. Stephon Diggs wasn't an all-pro wide receiver before he came to Buffalo either. Like, Stephon Diggs also thrived off of having a good quarterback throwing him the ball as well.
Yeah.
So like it was as much as it hurts our team, like we still have the quarterback who brought Stephon Diggs up to that level. So we're just kind of looking to see who else he can bring up to that level.
And that you see that too when Rodgers had Greg Jennings, then Greg Jennings left to the Minnesota, the Dolphins or whatever. He kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
you got to think about who's getting you the ball, who's getting you paid. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, I mean, Diggs had Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
in Minnesota.
And Case Keenum, I think, was the one who threw that Minnesota Miracle pass. Was Case Keenum?
Do you think Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl?
I pray every day that Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl. That's in my prayers that I say at night. It's that Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl. I think realistically, I do think that he will win one. I don't think it's this year. I think once Keon Coleman kind of develops into that wide receiver one role. So I think realistically, I think not this year, probably not next, but in that 3 to 5 year window from now, I think that's really when we'll be when we'll be there. And people hate on Josh Allen or critique him for not being able to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. But in the only time that he's played in the AFC Championship game, with a minute left, he drove down the field, scored a touchdown with 13 seconds left to go to the Super Bowl, and then never saw the ball again. Never got it back. They went down, kicked a field goal for overtime, scored an overtime, and like, so he did the things in order to beat Patrick Mahomes, but was kind of let down by I think coaching, but that's besides the point. But so he's proven that he can do it. So I think he will be able to get there and actually do it.
Yeah. Do you think as he gets older in his football career, he quits running the ball and taking the hits?
I think so. I hope so. My only issue really is that, like, right now you don't want to do anything. That's what makes him, like, he just goes out on the field and he's a beast, right? So you don't want to kind of try and wrangle him in any kind of way, because then you take away from what makes him so great. Like,
Right.
the reason why he's such a good passer is because he can run the ball so well. And why he can run the ball so well is because he can throw the ball so well. So, like, if you take away those, like, one of those two things, then it's the same thing we were just saying about the wide receivers. Like, if you can just focus on one aspect of his game, then it becomes easier on the defenses. I think 6, 7, 8 years down the road, yeah, he's probably going to have to stop the running as much, or at least try and slide. Like, right now, I'd like to see him slide a little bit more, maybe step out of bounds once in a while. Like, you don't have to hurdle and stiff arm and try and truck people as you're the franchise quarterback, man. Like, it's okay if you run for 10 yards and slide versus trying to power for 13 yards.
Right. Yeah, I always held my breath. I always think of that run that Aaron Rodgers had against the not the run, the pick he threw against the Saints, and he ran all the way. I mean, he decleated the guy out of bounds.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that at all, but it's just, God, you always hold your breath when your quarterback takes hits because you never know if he's going to get up hurt a shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, like everyone gets mad at it, but I 100% appreciate when a quarterback throws a pick and just snaps his helmet off and starts walking. Like, I don't want you to go make a tackle, man. Like, that is not what you are paid to do. It's just walk to the sidelines and go look at the little iPad. Like, that, we don't need you out there trying to take people out. Like, it's fine.
Now, you mentioned, have you been how many Bills games have you been to? Quite a bit.
Yeah, I went a lot more as a kid. Obviously, once I'm grown up and with a kid of my own, it becomes a little bit more difficult to travel.
Right.
I have more fun as an adult. That's that for sure. But yeah, I went to a handful as a kid, and I've probably been to about I'd say maybe 10, 15 games total.
What's the craziest thing you've seen at a Bills tailgate?
Okay, so I have two. I have one that I can say, and then I have like an X-rated, which is a different story. But one time I was at a Bills Jets game, and this was when Rex Ryan was the head coach of the Jets, and they had beaten the Patriots in the playoffs back to back. Like, the Jets were good, and the Bills were really, really, really bad. And I was sitting in my section, and like 3-4 rows up in front of me, there was a guy who was wearing a Santonio Holmes New York Jets jersey, and we were sitting in the end zone, and Santonio Holmes scored in that end zone, like right in front of us, and that made the score like 41-0 for the Jets. And this guy stood up and started going, like, pointing to the name on the back of his jersey and started flipping everybody off around him and started screaming and hollering. And the whole section just, like, he turned one way and met a fist coming back the other way, and like the whole section just piled onto this guy. I got a phone call from my brother, said that you were on TV, because I guess CBS showed this huge melee in the section, and I was just kind of standing there like, what is going on? So that was the craziest for sure. One of the things when I was a kid, Doug Flutie had ran it for a touchdown to win the game, and we came back out into the parking lot, and people had the Flutie Flakes going all over the parking lot, and it's very common. They have like the party buses come in to like take fans to the games, and there was girls up on top of those party buses lifting their shirts up, going like woohoo. So that was the X-rated story, but like they and as being a 13-year-old boy, when you walk around and you see that going on, you're like, this is where I need to be. I need to come here more often.
Have you ever seen somebody jump through a table on fire?
Not on fire. Not on fire. I've seen them jump through the table. I haven't personally jumped through the table yet. The next time I'm in Buffalo, I'm going to try and get to jump through the table. But no, I've seen people jump through the table, not while it's on fire though. Sometimes they can be a little bit crazy over there in Buffalo. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's so funny. Like when you see these, it's like on TikTok or just Facebook whatever clips, short clips of tables are on fire and you got people jumping from the top of a vehicle or from a, and they're wearing Bills gear. It's like, yeah, they're crazy.
The worst is when they miss the table altogether and they just like face plant in the grass.
That's even better. What's the most memorable game that you have witnessed?
I think it was that Doug Flutie game. It's like anytime you look up like Bills highlights overall, it was against the Jaguars, and like it was like the last play of the game, he ran and just squeaked into the front corner of the end zone, and it was a Sunday night game. It was a very popular game, like as far as Bills games go. It's like one of the a very popular Bills highlight.
I got a quick comment here from one of the head people at Ope. I'm gonna display it here.
Flaming cheese curds, nice.
I don't think so, Joe. My wife wouldn't approve of that.
Cheese curds are too valuable to do that. You can't be setting them on fire like that.
Oh man, that was funny, Joe. Joe is always known for chiming in and leaving comments. Who is your all-time favorite Bills player?
For me, right now it's Eric Moulds is my favorite. He's kind of the guy that got me to. He was the first player that like I've ever like liked and followed, and one of the games I was at when I was a kid, they ran this like fake field goal where he kind of pretended like he was going to the sidelines but stopped short, and when they snapped it, they threw the ball over to him and like he scored a touchdown on a fake field goal. And he was like, I think he's one of the top 4 Bills wide receivers ever. One of my favorite players to watch growing up. And obviously now it'll probably be Josh Allen when it's all said and done. It'll probably be Josh Allen, but for right now it's Eric Moulds. I just like watching him play.
What do you think of Lee Evans?
Lee Evans, I really like Lee Evans. The Bills, I think they have lots of like underrated players. Like I liked Lee Evans. I liked Stevie Johnson, was always fun to watch as well. They were like they just had JP Lossman throwing them the football. You know what? That was our problem forever. We had Trent Edwards, JP Lossman, EJ Manuel. Like these are just forgettable names, and It sucked that these guys wasted their careers. Their careers were wasted because we just weren't a good team.
Yeah, it sucks. Like when you go through a quarterback carousel, you don't have any really consistency,
Yeah, brutal.
I mean, Packer fans don't know how it is, but at least from what I can remember, I remember my earliest memories are from the early 90s and Brett Favre. Then you go from Brett Favre to Rodgers, and you go from Rodgers to Love. So I have 32 years of,
You've seen 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, right.
I've seen 3 quarterbacks in 3 weeks. Like that's.
I had a Bears fan on. Let me see if I still have it in my little notebook here. And I was giving her a hard time. I had written a page of all the different Bears quarterbacks since like 1990, and it's just
that's expert
crazy.
level
It's
trolling
like
right there.
you
That
got
is
Jim
expert level.
Harbaugh, Eric Kramer, Steve Walsh, Dave Craig, Kramer, Shane Matthews, Cade McCown, Jim Miller, Cordell Stewart. It's just up and down. It's like it's like
And
oh
I think even before Favre, you guys had that
Mikowski,
Mikowski,
Don Mikowski, yeah.
and then I like so like people always say Favre to Rodgers, Rodgers to Love, but like it goes even further back than that. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy the how lucky they've been at quarterback, or how good they've been at drafting quarterbacks at least.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's something I've always been. It's one thing that we can always, and they're like, "Oh, you only got 2 Super Bowls in whatever years." Yeah, but it's it is what it is. How many championships does your team have? Packers have 13.
Yeah.
If you add in before they started the Super Bowl, they have 13 championships. So to me that's a world championship no matter what, whether it's before or after they implemented the trophy.
I mean, it's called Title Town for a reason, right? So
right.
It's definitely not called Title Town in Buffalo, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the Vince Lombardi Trophy is named after Packers legendary coach.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, who is your all-time favorite Bills coach?
Like you have to say Marv Levy because that's our guy. He was our the one to lead us to the Super Bowl. But since I've been a fan, it's Sean McDermott. As much as I hate him right now, and I hate him a lot. But like compared to we had like Rex Ryan, Chan Gainey, like just a whole bunch of guys who. It's kind of similar to the quarterback conversation. Like it's hard to see how good you actually are when you're changing your head coach every 2 years and there's no consistency from head coach to quarterback to players.
Right.
But that's why like McDermott, the credit he deserves is was getting us out of the drought and, actually giving the team some kind of an identity and like developing players. He's good on the defensive side, developing players, drafting and stuff like that. So I would have to say Sean McDermott, but that's with a little bit of hesitancy because I haven't been too happy with him the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, when I think of the Bills, I think of Marv Levy.
Yeah.
That's the old.
He crowned the saying that is like the Bills Mafia like mantra. And every time you're in the stadium before the game starts, it's where else would you rather be than right here, right now? And that was his pregame speech, and that's like what we still live and die by in Orchard Park. So,
what's the population in Orchard Park?
I have no idea.
Is it decent size?
I honestly
does all that kind of like blend together since it's like a suburb of.
Yeah, it's a suburb of Buffalo, and then you have a whole bunch of little towns kind of all around it, and then Orchard Park is kind of out on its own. So I think it is like a 20-minute, half an hour drive to get to the stadium. But yeah, like I don't really know too much about the area. I kind of come in on the Saturday and I'm just happy if I remember anything from the Sunday.
Yeah, people, it's just you look at the different like history of the different teams, and I mean, you think of like Green Bay, of like it's probably the smallest market in the NFL by far, population wise. And
is it like not in Green Bay, the stadium?
Well, it's in Ashwaubenon, but it's. I mean, Green Bay, Ashwaubenon, whatever. It's right next to each other. It's actually it's in Ashwaubenon. The stadium's in Ashwaubenon, but they're the Green Bay Packers. Don't ask me the reasoning behind that, but just like the history behind it and all the, I mean, if you ever came to Green Bay and, even if you're not a Packers fan, and they have the Packers Hall of Fame within the stadium. a huge Packers Pro Shop. I mean, it's just you're in some small, 25,000 people, if that, maybe more and maybe less. And all of a sudden there's this big stadium, like on a quarter-mile strip of, off the highway,
Yeah.
But you get fans from all over. I remember I was at they have this bronze like statue of like fans and for the Lambeau Leap, like you can jump up on the padding and take your picture like you're jumping in with the fans. And so I'm outside there and a bunch of people pull up in Minnesota license plates and they get out. They're all wearing Vikings jerseys and they all run up there quick and take their picture. They get back in their car. They must have been doing like a scavenger hunt, but they came from the Twin Cities and they came to Green Bay. They must have been on their list to like stop at Lambeau Field, take a picture here and on to your next destination. But I don't know. But I could go there. I live like 10 minutes from the stadium, so I could, if I ever just crazy growing up 2.5 hours away. My wife is from up here. We met and then eventually moved back to Green Bay. But I never thought I'd be living this close to Lambeau Field. And it's so cool just to be driving all of a sudden, like, boom, there it is,
Yeah.
The big old G on the top of the stadium.
Are you an owner?
Don't kill me, people. I am not.
No.
I'm looking, if they have another stock sale, I'm looking to buy. So.
Oh yeah.
I know I'll probably get crap for it, but I'm not. Let me see. Got a little.
I think that's pretty cool that they have it like that.
Yeah. Go Pack, go. Yes, sir. Who is the Bills' biggest rival in your eyes?
I think right now the biggest rival is the Kansas City Chiefs, just because we know that that's who we're going to have to beat in order to get to the Super Bowl. And, like it really sucks that like when we're at their best, it just happens to be against like a top 5 quarterback of all time. Within the division right now, our biggest rivalry is Miami, just because they're the second best team. I kind of wish that the Brady stuck around a little bit longer in New England, because I would have liked to even that score a little tiny bit. He was like 35-3 against Buffalo in his career, so I would have liked to get a couple more wins against him, but because it wasn't even a rivalry between us and New England, like they just dominated us for 20 years, and would have liked to get a little bit of revenge. But yeah, I think the biggest rivalry is Kansas City and Miami. Miami's a good team. They're quick, they're fast, and so within the division, that's going to be our biggest challenge this year for sure is Miami.
Yeah, I think ours, I would say Chicago, but when we've won the last 10 games against Chicago, it's not really a rivalry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Josh Allen is 12-2 in his career so far against Miami, so it's not really a rivalry yet. They're just our biggest competition.
As of lately, I mean, I would say the Vikings. They're like the little brother. And then more recently, I guess, the Lions. We used to have the Lions number for the longest time. And that's within our division or within our conference, the NFC North. I think on the big picture in the NFC, I think the people that have knocked us out of the playoffs the most are the Niners. They seem to have our number, and
they seem to have lots of people's numbers. Like I think that I'd say that's the same for the Cowboys. They have a pretty good rivalry against the 49ers. Obviously the teams in their division as well, but I feel like lots of people have circled the 49ers on their calendar.
It's just nice. Like I remember looking back to when I was a kid, and the Cowboys always had the Packers number in the playoffs, regular season, and ever since they built Jerry World, like we have more playoff wins in the new stadium than the Cowboys do. And we went in there and just annihilated them last year. That was awesome. But
my brother's a Dallas Cowboys fan, and the joy I got watching that. First of all, Buffalo did pretty much the same thing to them earlier in the season, in the regular season, to the Cowboys, where James Cook just ran all over them, and then to see it happen again in the playoffs this time, it was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's Delvin's brother, right? James Cook.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Dalvin's brother, yeah.
Yeah, they have the same running style.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have a big year this year too.
And man, what happened to him, Dalvin Cook?
I don't.
He left. I know he left Minnesota, and I thought he went to.
Yeah, he went to the graveyard of the New York Jets.
Jets, and I thought they released. He used to be like.
It was crazy how quick the turn. Like he was like top 5 running back in the league to like not even playing anymore. It seemed like over a season.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, wild how quick it, especially like the running back position. That's just kind of how it is these days. But like that turnaround was crazy.
Speaking of running backs, what do you think of the Packers acquiring Josh Jacobs?
As a guy who's played fantasy football as long as I've watched football, Josh Jacobs is a very, very good running back. I don't know if he's as good or if he'll replace Aaron Jones, or if you'll get that same. Is Aaron Jones still there?
No, he went to Minnesota.
Oh, no way. Okay, yeah.
So this is how it went down. So big news. The Packers signed Josh Jacobs. Like, oh, what a combination. You got Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. So like, hell yeah, this is awesome, right? And then an hour later, the Packers released Jones and he went to the Vikings. We're all like, oh. Well, you think about it, Jacobs is 3 years younger. I don't think he's as injury prone as Jones was in the past few years. So they probably figured they can get a good couple of years out of Josh Jacobs. But then they drafted Marshawn Lloyd, who I think they're going to bring up to eventually replace Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they kind of have the same running style.
Yeah. So, I really like that. I forget his first name there. Williams, I know is his last name. It was Aaron Jones and the two of them. They were like the
Jamal
Williams.
Williams, yeah.
I really liked him. I liked watching him for sure.
He was definitely a workhorse and one of the fan favorites.
Yeah, he's a character for sure. He's definitely
snowing out. He's out in the cutoff, warming up, dancing to himself. And he's in his own planet, Yeah, it sucks seeing him go, but adding Jacobs and then adding Xavier McKinney, I still don't know how the Giants let him go.
Yeah, that was a strange one too.
24 years old and not even hitting his prime, and here he is.
Yeah.
We'll take him. And that's the cool thing too, is you got both of Jacobs and McKinney in their press conference when they got to Green Bay said that Jordan Love had a part in them coming over to Green Bay. So they see leadership in Jordan Love, and the thing too with Jacobs and McKinney, they're both captains on their team. So I mean, we bring in a captain on offense and a captain on defense. So it's good.
That's what they said about when Von Miller signed in Buffalo. They're like, this is proof of how good Josh Allen is. Like, players actually want to come and play. Like, no player ever would sign up to play in 3 feet of snow unless it was for a player that they believed in and a team that they believed in. So you're like, it gives us a little bit of credibility with players in the league to like, maybe it's not so bad to come here.
Yeah, same. The 3 feet of snow. I mean, same in Lambeau. They can have some pretty harsh winters, but you guys got rocked last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
The Bills did for sure.
Yeah, they there was, I think in the city they had I think like 9 people pass away from the snowstorm just because they couldn't like get out of their house, and like people trapped on the side of the roads. Like, it was snowing so hard that they couldn't drive anymore, and then their whole car got snowed in, and like,
yeah,
crazy.
Screw that.
Listen, I'm up here in Canada, and I don't like, we get snow, but not like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. How do you think the Bills will finish this year? What's your prediction?
I had them at 12-5 was my prediction. I think they're still going to be first in our division. I think they're still going to win a playoff game. They have like a tough schedule. Like if you look at who they're playing, like they're the teams that they have to go up against. But the way it kind of plays out for them, it was a little bit favorable to them. Like they don't have to play in Miami. Well, when they play in Miami, it's a night game, so they don't have to deal with that 120-degree heat that you do in Miami. They play the Chiefs and the 49ers, but the bye week is in between, so they can kind of go all out against Kansas City, and you get the week of rest to prepare for San Francisco. So that was a good one. So I still think they're 12-5. But yeah, the schedule will be tough, but I think it plays out kind of in their favor.
Yeah, I got the Packers finishing at 12-5 too.
Yeah.
12-5, 13-4.
Who do you think is your toughest? What's your toughest matchup this year?
Honestly, I think I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I mean the Lions are going to play us tough. I think the Vikings are going to play us tough. I'm not sure if I have Philadelphia. Let's see, we got Philly, Indy, Tennessee, Minnesota, the Rams, the Cardinals. Texans are going to be a tough one, I think. Detroit, San Fran, maybe Seattle, New Orleans. So I mean, some of those games could be trap games too. The games that were supposed to blow out the team, we end up getting beat, because we played to their level, and But hopefully, with this new defensive coordinator, he lights a fire under the defense's butt, and they get they put the game away early. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. If they just got to keep doing what they did against Dallas in the playoffs. Like I don't see, as much as the league moves into passing all the time and quarterbacks with 50 throwing attempts, like at the end of the day, just run the ball down their throat so that they can't get the ball at all. Like that will always be a good strategy to use.
Yeah, and I like, I've said it before that I think Jordan Love is more fit for Matt LaFleur's offense. Yeah, I think Aaron did a lot of audibling and changing the plays in the huddle.
Well, he's got all the answers, right? So
that's what I'm saying, though. It's like people had LaFleur under fire, but then all of a sudden, Aaron's gone and Devontae's gone, and a couple of Rodgers' buddies are gone that he always went to, and boom, we have a fresh core of wide receivers. They're all on a rookie contract, and Jordan Love spreading the ball evenly. They're all getting along, and LaFleur's offense is one to be reckoned with, as you saw against the Cowboys. If you can draw it up and it gets executed, it's scary. And I think Jordan Love is a perfect quarterback for that.
Yeah.
One question that I always ask is, what's your favorite type of cheese?
I like the cheese that I like spicy food. I always like the cheese that has like the habanero and like the jalapeno peppers in the cheese. I know Wisconsin is big on cheese. Do you guys do that or do you guys just have like the straight up like?
No, there's a cheese shop like not even a mile from my house. I'd say about a half a mile from my house that they have a ghost pepper cheese.
Oh, nice!
And it's really good. And then there's a cheese shop probably about 15 minutes west of Lambeau called Maplewood Meats that has a Carolina Reaper cheddar. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, try that. Yeah, we are known for our cheese, and they like to experiment with a lot of cheese too. But this place has when I say cheese curds, a lot of people don't know what cheese curds are, but they're really good, and they're really good when they're fresh.
Oh, I love a good cheese curd.
This place by me, they have them fresh 4 or 5 days a week, and you can walk in there in the morning and they're squeaky on your teeth. And
oh yeah. we sell them. There's a big cheese curd factory, just like it's maybe 45 minutes outside the city. So all the gas stations kind of are in that area. If you stop in and there's just a stand that like this company will come in and drop off the curds kind of on a weekly basis or whatever it is. And for like $5.99, you can get like a bag of these cheese curds, and I'll just eat cheese curds on my drive back home from work. And like, there's nothing better than a good squeaky cheese curd, man.
I love cheese. I have a Cheese Life sticker on my car. But it's I'm definitely one.
And then of course we have poutine up here. We have it with the cheese curds on it, and that's where you get the love of the cheese curds.
Yeah, I think I did a poll one time on Twitter who had better cheese curds, Wisconsin or Canada or something like that. And of course, people in Canada would probably go with what you said, but people like that have had Wisconsin cheese curds would probably go with Wisconsin. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's
like sometimes I see them. They're like they have like the cheddar curds. They have like different styles, but I like just the straight up like the original white cheese curd.
Yep,
like white cheddar. I don't like the orange one.
I like cheese. So what are your thoughts on Jordan Love?
I think my thoughts on Jordan Love are kind of similar to my thoughts on CJ Stroud, where like very promising, but I feel like sometimes people are like giving him a little bit of too much praise too quickly. Like, let's give him another year. Let's see what he, if he has just as good of a season as he had last year, then sure, let's put him in the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now, or whatever. But I think to rank him in anything, you're like, okay, well, what if he's not that good? You know what I mean? Like, I think he's showing all the signs that he will be, but I think he needs a little bit more time to prove it.
Sure.
And my worry is that like when teams do that, they think that they already have their franchise quarterback, and like they think they've got her all figured out. But maybe maybe it just wasn't meant to be, or whatever the case might be. But let him prove it one more year at least. At least give him the chance to show what he's made of.
Yeah, let him kind of replicate his year from last year to see if need to get better. When you hear Green Bay, what comes to mind?
When I hear Green Bay, what comes to mind, the Lambeau Leap is the thing that comes to mind the most. For me personally, my aunt was a huge Packers fan, and I remember going over to her house a bunch and watching Packers games. So when I think of Green Bay, I think of hating the Minnesota Vikings. I think of, I forget his first name, but I remember he was Freeman, number
Antonio.
86.
Antonio
Freeman, yeah. And I remember he made this play against the Minnesota Vikings where he like fell and he almost dropped it, but he ended up catching it and then like got up and ran for a touchdown. So I think of that play. That's what I think of when I see Green Bay.
Yeah. People always bring that up. So you're going to a tailgate party. What are you bringing?
In Buffalo, they're just happy when you bring the Canadian beer. That'll get me into pretty much anybody's tailgate.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this year, maybe going to just going to party in the parking lot. This November 1st, I'll be sober for 3 years from alcohol.
Yes, I meant to congratulate you on that. I know I've seen that on your Twitter a bunch, so I meant to congratulate you on that one.
Yeah, it was it's a lot easier than I thought. I don't have I don't really care at all. Just whatever.
Yeah.
Just only thing about drinking. So I'm a water and a diet soda type of guy. So
yeah. But I mean, for food wise, I just like the basic, like just a good grilled hot dog is really all I need. I'll get like real food from an actual restaurant. I'm not gonna go expecting. Like people make crazy food out of the back of their. I don't know how they're pulling it out of the trunk of their car, but like you can go there and get like a full 3-course meal of ribs and mashed potatoes and like all. And I'm like, just give me a hot dog with some mustard and ketchup on it, and I'm good, man.
Yeah. I'll go for mustard, some relish, some onions.
Yeah. I do onions, mustard, and hot peppers. That's
Yeah.
perfect hot dog for me.
Yeah, some Jimmy John hot peppers. Those are the best. One last question for you. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh geez, there's too many to pick from. I think when I'm like when we're having when I'm in a conversation with somebody like this, and I was just talking about this with my girlfriend actually before we got on, and you're in some kind of, maybe it's an argument, maybe it's a discussion, maybe it's a debate, but you're standing there trying to get your point out, and the other person is just like constantly cutting you off or like interjecting while you're speaking, or when I tell a story and someone's like, oh yeah, that happened to me too, and they try and like one up your story, that just drives me up the wall. I can't handle that.
Yeah, I had a guy that I worked with that you tell a story and he always had to one up you, so we always made a joke, like called him like one up. And
we growing up we called them Mr. Me Too, because every time he told the story, he's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, this guy had all these girlfriends and this and that, and it's like, yeah, whatever, Gabe. We called him Gabe, and we called him, because we always called him. We called him like, it has some like inside joke that we were calling him like Canadian. So like we called him like Gabois, like added the G, it was like GABEAUX, like had that accent. Yeah, I know, right? My buddy's probably watching right now, Mark. I worked with him, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But you go to work.
I don't know what it's like in Green Bay, but here in Ottawa, the driving, like I go insane every day when I'm driving to and from work. Like the driving around here is just atrocious. Like slow in the fast lane, fast in the slow lane. No, it's like nobody's ever seen a stop sign before in their life. So like when they get to the stop sign, they don't know who's going and who's coming. And so we all just sit there and wait, and like nobody goes, and like, drives me nuts.
Yep, the first person goes first, the second person goes second, the third person goes third.
Like if you can't count to 4, you shouldn't be driving. So like, what are we doing here?
And then you just like, okay, I want to go. Then you decide to go. Then they all creep forward.
Don't even.
But yeah, it's the same here in Wisconsin. People will go slow in the fast lane, and people go fast in the slow lane, and it's just, or they go fast in the slow lane and vice versa. And they don't know how to drive in roundabouts, and you yield to the left. The second you realize the person you're yielding to is going straight, you floor it and go, and it's got to keep traffic going so people stay safe.
Yeah.
But Ben, it was a pleasure having you on. Definitely look forward to having you on in the future.
Absolutely, man.
Maybe I could hop on your show one day.
For sure. Absolutely. Well,
let me know, and I think once you get closer to the preseason and stuff, I'll be sending you a message, seeing if you want to come back on. Any news out of Buffalo, and we can go over that, and anything out of Green Bay we can talk about, and just kind of shoot the breeze.
Awesome.
Sound like a plan?
Sounds very good. Very good.
Right.
Thank you very much. And just I'll say before we go, I appreciate all the help you've done for helping get my name out there. Like being on your show, helping me out on Twitter. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem, man. I help those that help me.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. You have a good night.
Yeah, man. You too.
Thank you.